All right, let's get started, everybody. All right, let's face it. Modern workflows are complex. I mean, they can be very, very complex. The demands of multiple acquisition points, higher resolution workflows, and a greater number of delivery formats can be pretty overwhelming. Now, this didn't just happen overnight, obviously. It started with the transition from the SD workflow to an HD workflow. Now, that single change took nearly 14 years, and back then the pipeline was easy. Work was usually single source, single camera, and single output. Now, although it was mostly file-based, it was still relatively simple. But think of the changes in HD workflow over the years. Multi-camera, many ins and outs. Still, we had plenty of time to adjust and evolve our workflow. Even with that, however, there were bumps along the way. Anybody remember this? Yeah, it's a new logo, by the way. Now, I would guess that most of you have a pretty smooth pipeline by now, but maybe you don't feel like it's a well-oiled machine, but it really doesn't matter what's going on today. It's the what's next that we have to worry about. That what's next is coming, and it's coming fast. So what we do is changing, obviously. Higher resolution, tighter deadlines, and greater remonetization are both challenges, but they're also opportunities for us. So how do we deal with all of this? Well, let's take a look, and let's see some of the challenges that we're being forced to deal with. Now, we're moving from this to this. It's a little different, right? Let's take a look at it. It's complex. Newer tools, more intricate setups, more camera types, lots to think about here. So let's look at a critical component underlying the entire workflow and where Quantum may be able to help, and that's down here with the storage. We're dealing with huge file sizes from acquisition forward, and they're all digitally acquired. Now, in the past, we would just throw bigger or faster storage at the problem, but that no longer works, right? Now, building an efficient pipeline today and looking forward is harder. Now, sure, you can get away with ad hoc growth for a while, but you're really not solving the problem. You're just making more room. The bottlenecks will eventually overwhelm your network. So let's take a look at this. This is going to look very familiar to you because what's happening to this workflow is very typical these days. In order to compete, we're adding more and more components to meet increasing needs, making it more and more complex. We have to treat high-res content differently. We're doing more steps along the way. More format changes, more transcoding, a greater number of touch points, more EFX, HDR, increased color space, and the list goes on. Now, all of this puts greater stress on the workflow. And as the pipeline increases, the complexity grows, and any hiccup at all can bring the production process to a standstill. Now, that's not something, obviously, that we want to deal with when deadlines are looming, right? Well, fortunately, we've been working on this, and we've got a solution for you. So let's look at a real-time workflow. Now, this is where most of the people focus when it comes to storage, the real-time portion of the workflow, where the high-res work actually gets done. This is where low latency and high throughput are key. And with high res, this also requires a lot more storage capacity than ever. Increasing storage here is key, but it's not the only consideration because we've got the other side of the fence. When you add in the non-real-time portion of the workflow, it becomes apparent that there's a lot more going on. Operations that happen in non-real time are very important, and many tend to discount the load that they actually place on the workflow. That's a big mistake, as this is where the real complexity comes in. So let's look at how assets in a high-res workflow travel through to become usable, finished content. Now, using traditional storage infrastructure, even some of the best for HD, it's tough to keep up. There's a lot of human intervention, too many back and forth processes, too big of a chance that content could be lost or even damaged. It's like walking a tightrope. One slip and your pipeline falls apart. So what to do? How can we cost effectively fix this? The answer is easy. Extended Online. Extended Online is an innovative method that uses the latest object storage technology combined with advanced StoreNext technology and partner integration. It makes working with high-res content faster, easier, and safer. And it does all this without changing the way users work. It happens behind the scenes, where we improve pipeline efficiency and smooth the workflow. So let's talk about it a little bit. So basically what we do is we separate the load from the non-real-time operation and real-time operation to improve the performance and consistency of real-time operations and ensure that non-real-time operations are working at their optimal level. Now, this is made possible by StorNext 5 and Lattice Extended Online. Lattice is an object storage-based workflow engine in the application. It offloads the work from the main real-time production pipeline and manages the connectivity to the non-real-time operations. Lattice is unique. It can simultaneously connect to the StorNext high-speed fiber channel network, and in so doing, it can transfer content across while connecting to non-real-time operations, such as transcoding and delivery on IP or Ethernet networks. And, I want to point this out, access the web with REST protocol. Now, doing all this without putting the load on the production team or on the process itself. Now, for example, archiving to ingest today, it's not easy. It's a multiple round-trip process, and we see it so often. It's so inefficient and nearly unworkable, especially as we move to high-res 4K and beyond workflows. But have a look at how Extended Online enabled workflow actually makes the process faster, more efficient, and safer due to the better than RAID durability of object storage. Now, let me show you two great examples of how Quantum customers are using Extended Online today to meet their evolving workflow needs. Now, first up, we have Reach Engine by Levels Beyond. As the workflow automation product is a product, it's completely integrated and automated into Extended Online as a customer deployment by Intuitive Asset Management, a specialized integrator in Los Angeles. So let's take a look at the video.
Hello, this is Jason Kerr with Intuitive Asset Management, and today I'm going to show you our new workflow to archive assets from Reach Engine directly into Quantum Lattice object storage. So what we're looking at here right now is a Reach Engine Studio environment, and if I select an asset or a couple different video assets, for example, I can then come up to my Actions menu in the upper right hand corner, come down to my Archive Workflows, and select a workflow to archive to Lattice. This is going to leverage the StorNext API and communicate directly to StorNext to send these assets off to object storage. If I click on the Workflow tab, I can see those jobs have been executed, and some are running right now and others are queued up waiting to run as soon as the others are finished. If I double click into one of these, it's a pretty quick process. By the time I clicked in, it's actually already finished on that asset. And we can see all the different steps that actually occur to be able to make this happen. These steps include basically moving the file up to Lattice, registering that file through the APIs, and then bringing back metadata information to Reach Engine so that it can bring back that asset and restore it in the future. If I come back to my primary search screen and update my search, now when I select any of these assets, I can see that the status is now set to archive. And if I select any one of these assets or multiple assets, I can come to my Actions menu and say Restore from Lattice. And the inverse will happen. It will now go up, communicate to the object storage. I can look at the workflow again, see that process as it goes and communicates to Lattice to bring back the asset in high res. I can see it's done. Go back to my Content tab, select these assets, and I can see it is in fact back and available locally once again. And that is archiving and restoring with Quantum Lattice from Reach Engine Studio.
All right, so that's really a great example of what we're looking at here, how using Extended Online workflow complexity can be completely eliminated, and the users actually get better predictability and control over their workflow. You'll also notice that by using Extended Online, the amount of online storage and read that as expensive storage, by the way, it's reduced, lowering overall costs of ongoing deployments and significantly reducing the burden on migration of assets and content over time. All right, let's take a look at another example from Telestream. And this shows how critical transcoding and rendering can be fully automated and executed directly on Lattice. Take a look at this.
Transcoding is a critical workflow step that can bring a workflow to its knees unless you have a way to automate the transcode and rendering process. Telestream lets you look at your entire workflow and quickly add new steps to adapt to new content demands or customer requirements. Here, we're adding a new workflow step to render to multiple sizes and formats from a single source file as it's pulled into the workflow. This new workflow step definition will be saved, and each new media file will be rendered the exact same way every time. We can even automate the way we handle camera ingest. Just drag and drop the new workflow step, configure how you want to import camera files, and connect this new step into our workflow. And now all of our camera files will be automatically moved throughout our extended online workflow. Best of all, you have control of your entire rendering workflow thanks to Telestream deployed on StorNext 5 and Quantum workflow optimized storage.
All right, so there you have it. Two great examples on how extended online can help reduce complexity, increase efficiency, help manage growing high-resolution content, ensure predictability, and maintain safe content storage for remonetization today and well into the future. Hey, thanks for taking a couple of moments. Have a great day.